I sighed and rubbed my forehead. I wasn't stupid enough to hie off after Adams without a word to anyone, so I had to figure out how to include Ari in my plans without putting her in danger. She already knew about the meeting, so unless I was exceedingly careful, she would see through me like glass. And she wasn't exactly a shrinking violet. She would get her wife Stella involved, and then, before I knew it, everyone I cared about would be charging into danger with me, including Valentin Kos, Emperor of half of the known universe. At the thought of Valentin, my steps faltered. When I was in Koan, he'd all but declared he loved me. Just remembering it sent electric shocks skating along my nerves, half terror, half excitement. In Koan, I'd felt so hopeful about our future. But now that I'd returned to Arx, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the universe to pull back the curtain and laugh at how gullible I'd been to believe such a thing. But Valentin showed no signs of deception. He didn't press, but he didn't back off either. And now that he'd fully recovered from his injuries, I was desperate to see him in person. He was due to arrive tomorrow. Butterflies danced in my belly. We'd both been busy lately taking care of our people. My citizens had finally lost some of the hard, hungry edge they'd been sporting for months. Cheeks were filling in and smiles were more common. We had food again. And I'd be damned if I let Adams and his crew ruin that. The Rogue Coalition was the last resort for most of the people here. If I couldn't protect them, no one would, and that was unacceptable. I had 2 weeks to figure out how to kill an enemy surrounded by true believers and then speed up the truce between the universe's two superpowers. I laughed to myself. Sure, no problem. At least I could be reasonably certain that Adams would show at the meeting. Like me, he would expect a trap, but his arrogance would ensure his arrival. He wouldn't want to waste an opportunity to rub his success in Koan in my face. The loss of Invictia still ached like a lost limb. Eddie Tarlowski stepped into the hall from a storage room. When he caught sight of me, he asked, "Hey, boss, you okay?" "Just trying to solve all the universe's problems," I said, with a wry grin. "You need something?" He shook his head, sending his shaggy blonde hair flying. Eddie had been one of the best thieves alive before he'd been conscripted by the Quint Confederacy and wounded in battle. He turned up in Arx with a mechanical arm and leg and a galaxy-sized chip on his shoulder. It had taken months and months before he'd found peace in the kitchen. "Nah, just wondering if I needed to kick that fancy Emperor's ass because he put that look on your face." Warmth bubbled in my chest as I realized Eddie was serious. My citizens tolerated Valentin, but they didn't exactly love him. Many of them had fled from Kos territory once the war got too close, and the resulting bitterness wouldn't be overcome anytime soon, no matter how much discounted food the Kos Empire shipped in. I smiled gently. "Thank you, but it's not Valentin, it's Adams." Eddie bared his teeth in a quick, edged smile and spread his arms in an inviting gesture. "I'd be happy to kick his ass too. All you need to do is ask." "You'll have to get in line. Seriously, though, if you need someone to get you in, let me know. There isn't a door built that I can't crack." A sly grin pulled at the corner of his mouth. "And I'll give you my best friends and family discount." I laughed. "So I'll only have to mortgage half of the Coalition's assets to afford you then? You're a gem, Eddie. And I'll take my knife back?" "I'll get you sooner or later," he grumbled good-naturedly. My combat knife appeared in his hand, seemingly pulled from thin air. He handed it back with a flourish. Eddie talked with his hands, a clever visual distraction that worked even when he appeared to be too far away to steal. He never stole for keeps now, more for the thrill of it. The knife would have turned up later somewhere, obvious in my quarters. My locked quarters. The knife had been clipped in a holster on my utility belt. I hadn't felt him lift it, but I'd felt the balance of the belt shift slightly.